All right, so now we need x squared plus bx plus 100. So we're going to complete the first table with all pairs of factors of 100 that would give positive values. And a second one that would give negative values. So here we could have 1 and 100, 2 and 50. 3 is not a factor of 100. We could have 4 and 25. 5 fits in if we go 20 times. 6 is not a factor. 7 is not. 8 is not. And then 9 is not. We would have 10. And then also 10. So if we look then at, if I added these, 100 plus 1 would make 101 here for the B term. 2 plus 50 would make 52. 4 and 25 would make 29. 5 and 20 would make 25 if I'm adding them. 10 and 10 would make 20. So now here, if we had factors of positive 100, that would make a negative B value. Both of these then would have to be negative. So negative 1 and negative 100. Negative 2 and negative 50. Negative 4 and negative 25. Negative 5 and negative 20. And negative 10 and negative 10. So then if I added them all together, it would be negative 101. Negative 2 plus negative 50 is negative 52. Negative 4 plus negative 25 is negative 29. Negative 5 plus negative 20 is negative 25. Negative 10 plus negative 10 is negative 20. So now if we have x squared plus bx is negative 100. So we need these with positive factors of b. So if we think about that, again, our factors can be 100. I'm just going to write these down, and we have to mix them with 1 being positive and 1 being negative. But when I add them, the b number is positive. So in order to make that happen, here, negative 1 with 100 would make positive 99. So as I make my list here, we have 2 and 50. This would have to be negative. Negative 2 plus 50 is positive 48. Here we would have 4 and 25. This would be negative. That would make 21. Then here we would have 5 and 20. So then that would be negative, and then that would be 15. Then here 10 and 10. This would be negative, and that would make 0. So if you notice here, this 2, to have a positive value, this one here wouldn't really count. So we can rule that one out. So here, to have negative values of b, we can take these ones and just change the negative sign to be over here. So what I mean by that, we can have 1 and negative 100. If I add that, 1 plus negative 100 is negative 99. Here we would have positive 2, and then this would be negative 50. 2 plus negative 50 is negative 48. Then here we could have 4 and negative 25. 4 plus negative 25 is negative 21. Then 5 here and negative 20. That would make negative 15. So now to make a 0 factor of b, that would be negative 10 and positive 10. And then this b would be 0. That's why I crossed that out there. So now what we need to do here is write these in factored form. So what we can do is use our answers here kind of as a little bit of a cheat sheet. So if we have here x and x, we need factors of 100 that sum together to be negative 25. So if I'm looking at that, and I'm thinking about, well, which ones might that be? So on here, that would be negative 20. Times negative 5. And if they were both negative, that would make negative, oops, and I wrote 50, sorry. So that would be times negative 5. So if I'm looking at here, that came from this list where we had x minus 5 times x minus 20. The sum was negative 25. So here, if we had factors of negative 100, that sum to be positive 15. So we would have x here and x here. What we would do is look for where it was factors of negative 100. And then we look for a sum of negative 15. And it's right here. If x, it would be x plus 5 and x minus 20. Because 20 times, or negative 20 times 5 is negative 100, and 5 plus negative 20 is positive 15. So the same idea here, if we want this to, instead of being positive 15 to be negative, we can just switch these two. So we would have x minus 5, and here this would be x plus 20. And then lastly, factors of negative 100 that sum to be positive 99. Well, in order to do that, we have to have the positive number be bigger. So we could have plus 100 and minus 1.